Hi everyone, and thank you for joining my session today. I'm very happy to be with you in the Android worldwide. To be honest, this is the first time for me, but I'm very happy to be with you. Today, I will be talking about the root of mobile DevOps for Android applications. And first, my name is Moataz Nabil. I'm working as a developer advocate at Bitrise. I started my career almost from 12 years ago as a .NET developer, and then in 2011 I switched to a test engineer and a quality engineer, and then after that I switched to be focusing more on mobile DevOps and CI/CD pipelines. During my career, I built different test automation frameworks for mobile application, web, and API using different set of tools and technologies. I also designed different CI/CD pipelines using different services like Bitrise, GitHub Actions, Jenkins, and more. So today, as I mentioned, we will be talking about the mobile DevOps. But at the beginning, usually I start talking with problems. So because when we are talking about mobile DevOps, I found this as a solution, but to drive the problem that will drive us to the solution that we will talking about now. So we will imagine all of us are working in a mobile team or especially Android team, and we are building Android application. And we have different problems in our team related to different things for our application. For example, shipping code or releasing is a painful process. So it's almost manually and we don't use any other tool. So it's taking time to release applications. Sometimes it's failing. We have problems in conflicts in code. We have different branches and it's painful process. So this is the first problem in our team. Second one, we are releasing every 2 months. So this is like a normal result from the problems with releasing. So releasing every 2 months is huge because if you have a competitor in the market, in your business, so this will be huge. So you can imagine once you released one release this month, and after 2 months, we will release the fix if there is any problem in the production now. So releasing every 2 months, we need to find a way to reduce this 2 months. We need to find a solution. And testing processes are manual. We don't have test automation in our team. We don't have the frameworks or test frameworks. We mainly using manual, which is also take time because once we release the application, send it to our QA, and they are taking time to test every scenario, test every screen, every test cases. So which is taking a huge effort and time from the team. And we have inflexible and fragile CI or continuous integration server. So we have almost dedicated CI server in our local or in our dedicated machines. Sometimes it's inflexible, fragile. We have a configuration or we have a problem in the configuration. So this also affects us to releasing after 2 months. And at the end, this will be like the normal result that we have a negative feedback from our customers because fixing bugs is taking time, releasing application is taking time, which is we have a negative feedback in the App Store. We have low rates for our application, which is something very important for mobile apps because this is like the page or this is the feedback from our customers. So because that maybe customers will not install our application anymore because we have bugs or live issues in our application. So this is mainly the problems, and we need to tackle them or we need to find a solution to solve these problems. Plus, while team works in different modules or features, if you have a larger scale teams and we have different features, we are working in sub-teams or in squads, and the collaboration in this case becomes a little difficult because every team is working in specific features with sub-modules or different modules with different features. So there is no any synchronization between them. So all of them has to be in sync, and hence it become a challenge for everyone. Here also we have a challenge for how we can define a process between all the teams to be aligned together with one goal or one plan for releasing and developing the mobile applications. And one more important point, that with mobile apps, mistakes are harder to revert. So if you can imagine that if you are deploying web applications, so you can almost deploy 100 web applications in the day, because just you can refresh the web browser and you will find different or new website. It can be totally new website in your browser. And this is the same in the backend. For example, you can deploying different backend services, and just you can like 1 minute, and it will be you will have a version for the backend or the website. But with mobile, as I mentioned, you are submitting your code. Once you submitted your release or your application to the App Store, it will go to the reviewing cycle and just it. So you can revert back, or you can roll. You can't roll back from this one. So we need to make sure that before we submit our application to releases. So we need to make sure that it's tested, it's releases with different implementations and different features, and things like make the customers satisfied with our application. So we will start. So now we listed our problems. We will start to talk about what is the process that will help us in this case. So we need to find a process to tackle all of these problems. So the solution is a mobile DevOps, or development and operation. So DevOps stands for development and operation. So we need to find a way to integrate or to collaborate all of the team together in the one plan or under one plan to start working and deploying or releasing our applications in a simple way. So mobile DevOps or mobile CI/CD and continuous integration and the continuous delivery or continuous deployment pipeline or DevOps cycle for build and release process to achieve quick and frequent release schedules. So this is the main target. As I mentioned, we have a problem that we are releasing every 2 months. We have a problem in releasing. We have manual process, so we need to find a solution. So mobile CI/CD will help us to reach to a quick and frequent release. And the quick here, not only just releasing the applications quickly, but it should be tested. It should be with a test automation. We should cover all the critical test cases. We should cover all the scenarios that important for the customers. So there is no any like scenario is blocking the users for example, payment methods or anything else in our application. So mobile CI/CD and the mobile DevOps is the key here. The key elements for mobile DevOps is continuous communication and the planning. So here we will fix or we will solve one of a problem, that the synchronization between teams. So we will always continuously communicate together and the planning together. What the next? What will be the next release? What the features will be deployed? Shall we using feature flags, for example, for the upcoming features to try to avoid any like surprises in the production, and we can like off or we can disable the features on the production just in behind the feature flag, something like this. So continuous communication, continuous planning, continuous integration, continuous delivery, and continuous deployment. And here, continuous deployment or continuous delivery. So the difference between the continuous delivery and continuous deployment, that continuous deployment is a fully automated from the code commit. So once you commit or you create the release until you upload or submit your application to the production or to the beta testers in the App Store, all of these processes will be automated. And continuous delivery, it's just the final step will not be automated, just it's needed the release manager, for example, just to hit like release or submit the application to the App Store. And continuous testing and monitoring. So we should communicate together, planning together, continuous integration, delivery, deployment practices, and continuous testing and monitoring. And testing is very important and one of the like vital parts of the mobile CI/CD pipelines. From my perspective, I believe that a mobile DevOps or DevOps in general is a combination between people, process, and tools. So now we have people, or this our team, we trying to find the process, which is a mobile DevOps or CI/CD, and we will use tools to help us to deliver or to reach our goal. So I believe that people with a mindset and culture should be changed to the mobile DevOps. So we should collaborate together. We should always think it together and so on. process, we should add a process for deploying, for testing, for building the application, for reviewing, code reviewing, for example. And we will use tools to help us to apply the mobile DevOps. Without one of these point, I believe that it will not work. Even if we have the latest tools in the team, but we are not living in the DevOps or this process, so this will not work. If we have people believe in this and we have tools, but we didn't add any process in our team, which will be like a headache after that, or once the people or the team start growing, so we will have a problem in this one. So I believe this three things drive us to a good or a mobile DevOps practices. There is a 6 steps of mobile DevOps adoption. So usually with the DevOps cycle, so it's something continuously happening. So we will start with measuring process or a step. Then after that measuring, that means that we will start reviewing the feedback from the customers. We'll start planning what we will release in the next feature or in the next release, what the features that we will deploy it. Shall we use any code review process? So here we are measuring all the things. And then after that, we will designing the CI/CD strategy to start using it. Then building and testing, something continuously will happen in every pull request or even in every push. Everything is changed in the code. We will run mobile CI/CD or continuous integration and continuous delivery pipeline to make sure that every time that our main repository or our main branch is still green, always without any problems. We have beta releases, so we can, or releasing, so we can like release the application to the beta users. We start testing it, start monitoring the application, and then after that, if everything is okay, we can release to the production. And then after that, after we publish our application, we can start monitoring our application, like check the performance and the application performance, start checking if there is any app crashes, so we can just directly jump and fix it if we can from the back end. For example, if we have any surprise or any unexpected behavior for the application, so we can start in this phase. So it's something continuously happening in every release and in every change in our code. So this is the 6th step of mobile DevOps. And here we are talking, so for mobile DevOps is something specifically, we have different things and different tools and process, because the normal DevOps, or as I mentioned at the beginning, for the backend or website, it's not including like beta releases or production, or maybe monitoring is totally different, because we are like targeting or monitoring different things in mobile applications. So here's just like a comparison between the DevOps and the mobile DevOps. We have a measuring, we have here planning, building CI/CD strategy or designing, continuous integration. From our perspective as a mobile engineers, it's building and testing, something continuously always. Deployment, we have a beta releasing first, just we need to make sure that for beta tester, we can collect the feedback if there is any problem in our application. For operation, we can like map it to as a production release. And with feedback, we can like adding the application monitoring in this case. So this is like mainly the comparison between the DevOps and the mobile DevOps. So here we have like specific like concepts for the mobile development. So what's the advantage of mobile DevOps? As we mentioned from our problems, so it will drive us to faster deployment and quick delivery to market, which is, this is one of the bottlenecks or the problem that we have currently. And improve the customer satisfaction. This is what we are trying to like aim, or we are trying to reach this, the customer satisfaction. So once the customer is like send it to us, there is a like a bug in our application, so we can directly fix it, deploying it, and or we can just like preparing it for the next release. And if we have a frequent release, because after that we will talking about the release train. If we have a frequent release with a specific schedule time, so maybe next week we can have the new release, which is will drive us to the customer satisfaction. Seamless operations, and improve the communication and the productivity. So all the teams or all the members in the team will working together. And even if we are working or using agile in the like planning and everything, so this also will work with the agile in a good way. And one time or on time release. So every week or every 2 weeks, as we agreed as a team. So we will have like a specific release date every time, or every week we will have a release with or new version for our application. The mobile release train, this is like a practice. Most of the teams, especially when the team like growing or we have a large engineering team, mobile release train. So a great way to accelerate and help visualize your development process. So release train, you can imagine that when you are thinking to travel to different city or different country and you are thinking to take a train, for example. So usually you are going to the train station, you start checking the schedule of the train, and you will find, okay, the next one will be at 10 p.m. and the next or the next one will be for 11, for example, at 11 p.m., for example, so, and so on. So in the train, you have a specific schedule. So this is the main idea about release train. So we will agree as a team that we will have a schedule, specific dates for our releases. For example, we can say it will be every 1 week or every 2 weeks, as we agree together. And every 2 weeks, we will have new releases with new features, or even can be hot fixes with the application, fixing bugs like enhancements or anything. So it's not required to be a new feature, but it can be any other things in our team. This approach will help you release more consistently. And so here we have a consistently process and allows distribute teams to work more aligned around the app development. So all the team now are aligned together with one specific process that we have releases. And for example, this also will help the teams to only relate the tested features, like reviewed features. So for example, if we agree that every week we will have or we will release features, and one team send it to us or send it to the release manager, says, okay, I finished the feature, but I didn't test it. So we will say, okay, no problem. We will not be in this week, but it can be in the next week. Once you tested it and you make sure that it's behind the feature flag, for example, so it's ready for deployed with our processes and checks, okay, we will take it in the next week because it's release. It's release train. So it's every week we will have new release. So it's no problem. And this not frustrated because the developer knows, okay, we have a specific this, okay, I will test this feature well, and then after that it will be ready for the next release. So which is help us to align together with one process. So mobile release train in 5 steps. So here, for example, define a time slot, as I mentioned, and the release on a regular basis. This is very important. So every 1 week, every 2 weeks, every 1 month, if we agreed about that 1 week or 2 week will not work with our teams. This is always based on the team. So define the time slot during the development phase. So here we have a development phase, and then we have a code phrase. Code phrase, that means we will not commit anything or any new commit to the release branch, for example. During the development phase itself, your team's time to, or the teams have time to review, test, merge, creating BRs, running the UI test, unit test, integration, all of the things for the features to be ready for the release branch or to be merged to the main branch. And once we have a code freeze, so this will not be allowed to merge or to add anything else. This always drive us to keep master always green or keep your main branch always green. So we will not commit anything until it's tested, code reviewed, and anything else we agreed in our process. And when the content of release is agreed, once we agreed about the features or the scope of our release, ready will be a final testing phase. We can also run UI tests in general, like a black box testing. It can be exploratory testing, for example, from our QA engineer. So we have release, including different features. We have a release note, including this feature will be deployed. We have enhancement in this feature. We have hotfix or fixing bugs in this feature, and so on. And team members should check whether new features and fixes works as intended. So, and then after that, we will check that the features is working, and so on. So we run after code freeze, we can run integration test or end-to-end testing, and then we can release and so on. So it's release train. So every time we are doing the same thing in consistent way, so which is will give us more quality and like frequent releases. A code freeze can mark the close of development. So just we like freeze coding, or we didn't add any, we don't add anything else in our release branch. So then we can start a new release. So if the developer is not able to finish it until the code freeze date, okay, no problem. It will be in the next release, and there is no any problem in this one. The implementation guide for the release train. So you should adopt a fixed release train schedule, as we mentioned. You should identify a release manager to be able to manage all of these things, add the schedule for releases, always sync with the managerial levels or the managers, with the product managers, with all the teams to align together about our goal or our mission. Introduce feature flags for increasing release confidence and stage rollouts. So we can agree about that. We will deploy our features behind feature flags, just be a backup or to be in the safe side. Once we have a problem in one features, even after we tested it, maybe we have something special in the production or any app crashes happened. So just we can disable this feature and it will not be displayed anymore for our customers. And the stages rollout, or we can like deploying our applications in like rollout percentages. So maybe we can deploy in the 1% of our customers and then tested our application, monitoring the app crashes, and then if everything is okay, so we can increase the rollout percentage. Iterate and improve development. So it's always something continuously like development, or we are usually enhancements our process. Maybe something was not good in the previous release, so we can enhancement or improve it in the next one. So what's the relation between the mobile release train and CI/CD pipeline? So CI is an important part of mobile release because this is the way, or this is the tool that I will use to implement the release train. Releasing a mobile apps without the right tooling is a complex process for the team. If you don't have or using the right tool for our team or for our Android application, this will be a problem because it will be like driving us to complex process setup and a lot of things. Having an easy to use and suitable CI in place can help to automate development process, save your time, make your team focusing more on developing features, fixing bugs of the application. But we are not taking care about the infrastructure of the CI because we are using, for example, platform as a service or suitable CI for our mobile applications. Once you have a CI in place, build trains can accelerate your release cycle. Just you have CI or CI/CD pipeline, it can be drive your release train in a consistent way. For example, here, this is a release lifecycle using Bitrise. So Bitrise is a CI/CD platform as a service. So it's hosted on cloud and you can use it you can connect to your repository or source code from Bitbucket, GitHub, or GitLab. And then you can build your workflow. You can find all the suitable steps or tools or SDK that you need for building or delivering your application to the App Store or to your customers. And here I just need to like mention that it's always depends on, or for sure it's always a team decision. But here I am as a Bitrise, it's a platform as a service. So this means from the cloud perspective or cloud computing that Bitrise is taking care of all the infrastructure of your CI/CD and just to give you the configuration, or you can just adding your application, you can start to configure your steps and just it. So you only focus on building and testing and deploying your application. You are not taking care of the infrastructure or under the hood of the CI server. Okay, I need to take care about the security. I need to take care about the users. Everything is managed by Bitrise. So it's shared responsibility here. Bitrise will take care of all the infrastructure of your machines, data security and everything, and you need to make sure that you are adding your correct or suitable steps, building your workflows, connecting your source code to your Bitrise environment or Bitrise workflows. So here, for example, as we mentioned, we have different steps. If you still remember the life cycle or of the mobile DevOps, we have built. So we already like design and planned or measured the things or the release train and everything. So now it's a practical way. So we will build a tested deploy, which is something will be frequent. This is the release or release pipeline or release life cycle or release train. So for example, here with build, you will have build a step for Android build. So we will build your application for UI testing. So if you have or if you are using a native tool for testing like Espresso for Android, so this test will build your APK and test APK, and then after that you can send your test to test on the cloud devices like Firebase Test Lab, for example. Could sign or Android sign, so it can sign your application to be ready for deployment. Testing, you have Android unit test, you have device testing using Firebase Test Lab. You can upload for Microsoft App Center to test on the physical device on Microsoft App Center. You can also deploy it to Source Lab for testing or running on the virtual device or physical device. For deployment, you can find the steps for deploying for Google Play deploy. If you have a specific version for Huawei App Gallery, you can also use this step. You have App Center and iOS deploy and App Center for Android. So you have different things for every mobile application. Deploy to Bitrise, this is like for in the website itself of the Bitrise. Send a Slack notification with the build statuses and the test status as well, or send it to Microsoft team. And once you have the new release from this life cycle, you can maybe add another layer for testing with exploratory testing. So here you can just manual testing or exploratory with if you have a QA engineers, so they can start exploring the new releases. They can get the link of the beta application from this workflow, and then start installing on their application and start testing it. Once everything is green or is okay with the release manager, so we can start rolling out or releasing our application to the App Store and to the Huawei App Gallery. So this is mainly the thing. So you can connect your code, build your workflow, whatever you want. You can add any other step. You can add any customized steps for your workflow as you like. And then after that, you can start using it. So for example, if we are as a team, so now we are start talking about our solutions as a team and start fixing or solving our problems. So here, let's say we will design this Android CI/CD workflow. So the workflow usually will be started from the check out the repository, build the app for test, or even run the unit test. We can add a step for lint or static analysis tool. We can use a Sonar Cube, or you can use Detect for Android, or you can use lint, for example. So if you have, because I mentioned already that we can agree about process for code review, and also we can agree about something for static analysis, that we can just we can define a process for us for this one about the linting and everything. Then we can start running a unit test, running a UI test, signing the application, release the application to the App Center. This is like, for example, it can be for beta users. And then after that, we can deploy to the Google Play Store. And then we can test or publish the test result to the Slack channel, or we can publish it in any other store. For example, we can use Google Cloud Bucket to like store our test result there, or we can use S3 Bucket, for example, as you like from this one. So let's transform this to workflow in Bitrise. So here, this is the mainly step that we will using for this workflow. So here you will find a step for activate SSH key to be able to access your GitHub or your repository, git clone. Then after that, we will installing the missing Android SDKs. We will change the Android version, for example, running Android lint, Android unit test, Android build, sign, deploy to the App Center, If everything is okay from this, we can deploy to the App Store, send it to a Slack message with the URL of the application, for example. So this is, but here, if there is any step failed, the process will stop here. For example, let's say once I'm running the unit test or running a UI test and I have a problem in this step, all of this step will be skipped and this build will be failed or marked as failed, and we will not deploy the application. So here, it will be like a gated. So here I have a gate and we stuck here because we have a problem in the unit test, or even when we are building the application, we found the problem even when we are signing the application. So each step, if it's failed, so the workflow or the process will stop here. So we will not continue with the other step until we fix this problem and rebuild again or run the build again with our workflow. So this is the workflow. So we designed our workflow and we will find here. So for example, if we have, if you commit and push our code from our local machines to GitHub, for example, so it will be initialize the webhook to Bitrise. And then after that, we will, for example, building our application for UI test. Then this step will give us two APK, the application itself or our application, and the APK or the test APK if we are using Espresso as a native tool. If we are using any other testing tool like Appium, for example, we can just build the application to get the APK, and we can send this APK to Appium to start testing this application. But this is especially if we are almost using a native testing framework like Espresso. So we have two APKs. And then we can running our test using a Firebase Test Lab. Firebase Test Lab will give us the opportunity to run on physical device or virtual device. So it's a cloud device. So almost our solution now in cloud hosted or hosted in cloud. So there is no any like dedicated servers or any device we are connected on our local machine, which is we will remove or it will remove all the hassles or the headache from our head, and we can focus only to drive or to deliver quality applications. Then once we finish, we can send the artifacts and the result again, upload it to S3 Bitbucket, for example, send the result to the Slack notification or Slack channels. And then if everything is okay here after tested, so we can start signing the application. This can be in different workflow, but just like combination between all of the process, we can start signing the APK, start deploying it to the Microsoft App Center for our QA and the beta testers or test engineers. Once everything is again okay, we can also deploy the beta to the Google Play Store and to the customers. So here we can deploying our application like the pre-production and deploy to the App Store, and also we can deploy to, you can just specify the channel or you can specify in the way that you wanted to deliver your application. If there is something else I can consider to speed or to make our application and the development and the releasing more faster, yes, it is. So here we can use a Fastlane. And the Fastlane for Android, it's like, it's something to automate, or it's a tool for automating the app development and app deployment. So I'm sure that most of you are hearing about Fastlane, but just quick information. Fastlane is a tool to automate your deployment and the release process. It's like it's a Ruby file, and it's including different lanes, and every lane is doing something or a specific task. For example, this lane is building the application, this lane is testing the application, and this one is deploying to beta to Google Play Store, for example. It's Fastlane is open source, and it's simplifying the Android and iOS deployment. It contains lets you to automate all the tasks. So it's a tool for automating tasks as well. So you can automate all the builds and tests and releasing the application tasks, and then adding in the Fastlane file. For example, automate the screenshots is already built-in features or functions inside Fastlane. So you can automate screenshots, beta deployment, App Store deployment, and code signing. So it's a very interesting tool, and you can use it. And also with Bitrise, we have already steps for building and running Fastlane steps. So here, for example, this is different workflow. We can have a step for Fastlane build, Fastlane test, Fastlane deploy, and this one is, or each step is including different lanes, and then after that sending to Slack message. So for example, here I have already example for the Fastlane file. And for example, this is the main idea about Fastlane. Fastlane is a Ruby file, and you can add here any logic based on your application. So the platform is Android. For example, this is the description. So here we are running all the tests. This lane is called test. And then after that, what it will be run Gradle test. So it will automatically go to your application, because this will be inside the root or the application folder, run Gradle task. This is automatically, or this is a built-in task name. So with Gradle task test, so it will test your application. Clean assemble to build the application, so it will run another clean one. So this is another lane to build the application, so we can use it. So clean the output folder, and then assemble release. Then after that, we need to build and debug or assemble for a screenshot. So we can also adding different tasks here, submit to the beta, to the Firebase app distribution, for example. So you can deploy your application to Firebase app distribution. So here you can just add the configuration. So just it's already a plugin or a step here. So you can add Firebase distribution, just specifying your app ID, group name, and you can just adding the release note here, and deploy a new version for the App Store. Just Gradle clean assemble release, and you can upload to App Store with version draft, for example, or release status is draft. So, but for sure, you need to configure your service account or JSON service account for your for Firebase and so on. So this is the main idea about Fastlane. And the last step in our release life cycle is monitoring. So we build and test and deploy our application. Our application is now live for beta users or for the production. So we can start monitoring our application using performance for performance and availability. And during this phase, multiple things are tracked, such as app consumptions, usage, stability, app crashes, user journeys, everything. And also here, I'm happy to announce that we have already also SDK for tracing and monitoring application. It's a Trace SDK. You can add it in your workflow, or you can integrate it with your Gradle build file for your application. So here you can add it, and then after that, it will give you anything about your monitoring or your performance. The crash rate, error rate, like a network request count, and also it can including the error rates and crash reports. For example, here I have error reports. So monitoring is very important, because this is closing the life cycle of the mobile DevOps. Once we deploy the application, we need to monitor the application if there is anything or unexpected behavior, and then we need to take action about these things. The lesson learned from this, that mobile DevOps is a mindset, culture, process, and tools. So as I mentioned, it's not only about people or mindset or tooling, but it's all of them together. So mobile DevOps is a mindset, culture, process, and tools. Quality is more important than quantity, because that I mentioned that the test automation is a vital part of mobile DevOps. We can't proceed with a mobile test automation, and it should be like a gate or like a step in our life cycle. Without it, if we remove it, so we will deliver applications with bugs, because we are not taking care about testing. Test automation is a vital part of mobile DevOps, and CI/CD is our coordination process. So we need to start implementing a CI/CD and start adding or creating our workflows in our environment. Testing is a whole team approach. And this is a very important point, because it's a shared responsibility. Most of the developers are thinking that, okay, I don't need to learn any UI testing or not testing our application, because we have already a QA or test engineer. This is not correct, because testing is a mindset, and it's also the whole team approach, shared responsibility. Mobile engineers or Android developers should write or start writing UI testing. Maybe you can use native tools like Espresso, because it will be the same language, the same application. You will implement your test inside the application itself, so you don't need to learn anything new. You can write with Kotlin or Java as you like. So I think Kotlin is now the preferred language for all the Android developers. So testing is the whole team approach, and most of us need to use it. So, and at the end, customers are the center of everything. So all of these things we need to reach to one point, that customer satisfaction. So always we need to think about our customers are satisfied or not. So just if I think I still have time, I just need to show you like a quick demo about the Bitrise CI/CD pipeline. So this is mainly the pipeline that I was talking about in the presentation. So here, this is a workflow editor. You can design, you can add any step here. So here I implement everything. I install the missing Android lint, build, sign. So for example, with Android build, you can also here specifying the module, the variant here. So here I mentioned it will be debug, so you can add release, or you can specify your variants, because it's always based on the business or application. Sign the application, deploy to the App Store, deploy to the Google Play Store, but here you need to specify the service account or JSON key. And also you can add it here. So for example, here we have a code signing. So you can upload your KStore file, and then after that in the workflow, you can download it in this workflow. For example, here, I can just search about download, and I can go to all, and here I will find that file download from the code signing. So I can download the service account JSON and start using it from here. And here, if we just go to the Android filter, because it's Android application, I can search about Android, and here I can find all the steps that's required for delivering my application to the customers. It's including like Genymotion. If I want to using any other testing, cloud testing tools, not Firebase, I can find here Genymotion. Here I can add a trace for monitoring. I can add detect for a code analysis, or start like for styling of our code. So here I can find that set Android manifest. Android SDK update, Android build for UI test. So here also you can have different workflows. For example, this is, I name it Android CD, is continuous delivery. But here I can have another one is Android CI, or continuous integration. This one, which will be run in every BR, for example, or every code change. For example, it will be including different steps. We will run lint again, unit test, but we will run or building the application for UI test if we are using Espresso as a UI testing. So here again, I am building the debug and can change it from here. But here I will find that I will have two APKs, the Bitrise APK itself and the test APK. And another step will taking this test APK and the APK and go to this one will run our test on Firebase Test Lab, because here you will find that all the modules now is supported on Firebase Test Lab. You can change the module, you can change the OS version, or you can still the API version, for example. And with the test type, here you will find that you have an instrumentation, robo, or game loop. There's the three types of the Firebase Test Lab. It's an instrumentation test because it's UI testing. And here you can also add anything. For example, if you wanted to test a specific package, specific annotation, a specific class, so you can also add a busing here as a parameter. If you are using or implemented a orchestrator or the new way with Android X, so you can here just say, okay, I have Android orchestrator or in my test application, so you can specify here and send the Slack message. And you can define your secrets, environment variables, and the trigger. And one point here about the trigger, here you can implement the get flow for your source code. So for example, with push, if you push anything in your code repository, you can add here one trigger. For example, if I need to add like for all the pushes, I would run this workflow. But if it's for pull request, I need to run another workflow, for example. So here I can run this one, or I can leave this one, or I don't want it to run on the push, but I just need to run in every BR from the source to the target to the main or to the master branch, for example, if I have a master and I want to run the Android CI. But in case I wanted to run the based on tags, I can specify here that if I am naming it or adding it release, and then after that adding anything after release. So here I can run different workflow. And then after that, here because here I didn't save it, so I can save the changes. And here you can change also, or you can find the stacks and the machines. So for example, because it's an Android application, so you can find here that I'm using Android and Docker and Ubuntu machine. And here I don't um, do anything when I'm setting up this workflow. I'm just selecting the suitable tech stack, and the Bitrise or the machine itself will be ready for me, and I can also switch. For example, I can switch it to the Android. To the macOS machines if I want to build my Android application to macOS machine, but here it's Ubuntu for Android and Docker. And also from here you can find more information about the tech stack, which tools is already installed and defined in the tech stack for this application. Here also, I'm happy to announce that recently we announced that we have a next generation of our build infrastructures, which is the Gen 2. And here you can specifying it's based on the credit. So if you have a credit-based plan, so you will have here switch between different machines. For example, I want like a machine with a 30 gigabyte of RAM, so I can select Elite Excel, or I want just a standard, which is enough for me, for example, to build this one. You can switch between this. You can specifying the workflow or the tech stack for the workflow, and just you can save it. And also, once you finish all the workflow in the workflow editor, you will find all the steps is defined in the Bitrise YAML file. You can use Bitrise CLI and run it. Can it change if you wanted to work with Bitrise YAML file? You can store it in the app repository. It's now stored in the website. You can just download it and like commit it or add it to the app store. And then after that, once you already finish everything, you can just go to the dashboard, start scheduling, and here you can schedule this build. Here I can trigger the build manually, but also I can trigger it like a schedule. For example, I need to run it every business day and at the 10 p.m., for example. Or with advanced, you can also add anything and trigger a workflow. You can select the workflow. You can add any key or value to be replaced from anything you added in this workflow. And then after that, you can start scheduling your build. So here I schedule the build because I didn't run it directly, but here again, I can go to the basic and close this one, and based on this workflow, I can just trigger this build manually. So trigger here is manually based on push or PR or even tags. So now I start running my workflow. Here I can find all the logs for the steps that I added. So here it will be start like running. Here I can find the date, the time for this step, and everything can be finished here. So then after that, once this build is finished, I can find the result here. So for example, this will be succeeded. Another one is failed. I need to go down. I need to go to this failed one. For example, here, I need to find what the problem in this one. So here I can check the test reports. This is add-on from Bitrise. So here I integrated with my test cases, and then I open it. Okay, I found that I have a problem in my test case on Firebase Test Lab. So I can open the test case, and then I can find that this is a problem. I can find the performance here with my test cases with Firebase Test Lab. I can find the video for my test case screenshot if I already implemented in my framework. So this is a test summary. If I wanted to find the app and the artifacts, here I can click, and here I can find that the APK, the test APK, I can download it from here, or I can also redirect to the logs. Here I can go to the trace for monitoring application, and here this application. So we build the application, run the visual test, virtual device testing, and here I have a problem. So I was running, and again I have a problem. I have a crash in my test, so I need to go and check what the problem. This is what I mentioned. So here I just have this step failed. So once I have this step failed, so Slack will not run, and the skipped as push is skipped, and because this step is failed, so I will not continue with this one. So this is mainly what I want to talk about today. So at the end, thank you, and I hope that the session was useful for everyone. Thank you.
All right. Fantastic. Let's give everybody a couple minutes to write questions. If anybody does have some, put them in, please, in the QA section. Give, let's say, like a couple minutes for that. How do you feel it went? Yeah.
Is this a question?
That was a question. I guess it wasn't phrased in a way where it was clear. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was really cool. Actually, I don't know if Jeff's here. I don't know if Jeff reached out to you. Organizer, like Toronto Android. He pops a question today to me and a group in Toronto's Android community about, so guys, like, can Bitrise handle like a 5 GB app? Like supposedly that's, I guess, the app size.
Yeah, we talked it together actually and the private chat, and I just suggested to him that I think there is a practice he can do in his application, but I just suggested to him to talk with one of our support engineers because they are mainly working in these things. They have different solutions, and usually every day they have different problems. So I will put him in contact with the correct team.
Yeah, well, it's a question never came into my mind before about like size limits for apps. I guess I've never worked at something that had that sort of risk. So I don't know. Cool. Well, thank you.
I think we have questions now.
We do. Let me pop. Well, let's give everybody another couple seconds in case somebody's writing some, and then, yeah, give another second. Okay, you know what? Whatever. We're good. All right. Let's start with Martin's because that's top of the list from what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Can open source project run on Bitrise for free? Yes, you can run your open source project for free, but you will have like a specific or limit time, like minutes for your build. But for sure, you can build your open source projects because we are supporting actually all the steps or the integration steps that I was talking about, and Bitrise, all of them are open source. So we always support open source projects. So for sure, you can run your open source projects on Bitrise for free. But just you will have a limitation in the like machine types and build time, something like this. But you will be able to run.
Okay, mark that one is answered. One from Dali.
Okay. But the difference between Bitrise and okay, CodeMagic is a different company. So as you know, in the market, you have different companies working with a CI/CD or like cloud-based CI/CD. Bitrise, CodeMagic, GitHub Actions. So you will find all of them. So it's always based on the pros and cons. Always based on the prices, plans, machine types, updates, support from the platform, but it's the same platform for running CI/CD on cloud. But it's always based on your decision as a team or the member, which one should I use. It's based on a lot of things.
Cool. Yeah, I figure that's a tricky one for you to answer as an employee of Bitrise.
No. Because at the end, you will find or you will have a lot of competitors, but it's always based on the decision of the team. Is Bitrise fits in our like setup, or CodeMagic will be, or maybe GitHub Action because maybe they have like free plans or it's different. So it's always based on the team or the plan of the team.
Okay. All right. So I think that's it. Saba's. Oh wait, we got another one.
Yeah. Can we integrate GitHub Actions with Bitrise? I think it's different things, but there is, I don't know, here you are mean by like webhooks or like trigger webhooks using GitHub Actions or from Bitrise to GitHub Actions, but you can like trigger. I don't see there is any added value for this one, but if you have a special case, so you can, maybe we can try to find a solution for this. But at the end, it's totally different things. Here, GitHub Actions, you will have a YAML file, and you have steps and things need to do with GitHub Actions. But maybe you can trigger using API something from here to here or vice versa. But if there is a case you need it, so I think with APIs you can do things here.
Yeah, I've worked with Bitrise and GitHub Actions. My experience is that there's a point where they overlap, and it's like you pick one or the other, and then there's other things that maybe GitHub Actions does that is not really part of what Bitrise would offer. Like there are actions, or best packages is the right name, that like are not part necessarily of what Bitrise has to offer. So you could just have the GitHub Actions doing for certain things, and then use Bitrise for other things. But connecting them like together maybe doesn't. That'd be a strange case. I wonder what like situation you'd have to be in to actually have that. And not like nothing comes to mind, but there's always edge cases.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So Mark, that one is answered. We'll take a little break. Ed's talk was supposed to start in 2 minutes. Let's give everybody another, I don't know, 10 minutes like break. So we'll start Ed's session 10 minutes late. All righty, guys. Thank you, Moataz, so much.